$1.2 trillion. That was China's trade surplus in 2025. Not its total exports, not its GDP growth, its surplus. The gap between what it sells to the world and what it buys back. To put that in perspective, that single number is larger than the entire economies of Saudi Arabia, Switzerland, and Argentina combined. It is the largest trade surplus ever recorded in human history, and it happened in a year when the US was throwing everything it had at China in the form of tariffs. So what does this number actually mean? How did China pull this off? And most importantly, what does it mean for jobs, prices, and trade in your country, wherever you're watching from? Let's get into it. Welcome back to KP Money Talks, and today we're talking about the surplus of Chinese economy. And what does this colossus of 1.4 billion people does to the trade market around the world? Hit that subscribe button and let's get into it. To understand the $1.2 trillion surplus, you need to understand the machine that produced it. For 2 decades, Beijing has pursued one of the most deliberate industrial strategies in modern history, a policy framework called Made in China 2025 and its successor plans. The idea was simple. Don't just be the world's factory for cheap goods, become the world's factory for advanced goods. And it worked. China's trade surplus surged to a record $1.2 trillion in 2025, exceeding 6% of its GDP, marking a new milestone in its integration into and dominance of the world trading system. The sectors that drove it tell the whole story. China's exports rose 5.5% for the whole year to $3.77 trillion. Imports flatlined at $2.58 trillion. Think about what flatline imports mean. China's economy is the second largest in the world, and yet it barely bought more from the rest of the world. All the growth was one directional, outwards. Auto exports surged 21% in 2025 to more than 7 million units, driven by electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids. China has now overtaken Japan and Germany to become the world's biggest car export. Semiconductor exports grew nearly 25%. Shipbuilding exports grew over 26%. These are not cheap t-shirt exports. These are the industries that other countries used to own. And then came tariffs. The US hit China with some of the highest tariffs in modern American history. And China's response? It simply turned the ship and found new markets. Here's where the story gets genuinely remarkable. For the whole 2025, China's exports to US fell 20%. In contrast, exports to Africa surged 26%. Those to Southeast Asian countries jumped 13% and to European Union 8%. To Latin America 7%. You need to listen to that again. The US cut imports from China by 20%, and China's total exports grew by 5.5%. That is the definition of an economy that cannot be contained by tariffs directed at a single market. Europe felt this most dramatically. Between November 2024 and November 2025, Chinese goods to the EU surged nearly 15%. In some member states like Italy, that figure topped 25%, meaning a quarter of all imports came from China. EU Commission President von der Leyen coined a phrase that every European policymaker is now using: the second China shock. The first China shock happened between 1999 and 2007, when cheap Chinese goods flooded Western markets, hollowing out manufactured towns from Ohio to Germany. The fear now is that the second wave is coming, this time in advanced sectors like EVs, solar panels, chips, and ships. Of roughly 200 sectors in one analysis, the top 15 in terms of policy support from Beijing contributions, 76% of the entire increase in China's aggregate trade surplus over the past several years. This is not market forces alone. This is strategy. Now here's the question most people don't ask. Why doesn't China just buy more? Import more, reduce the surplus, use the global tension? The honest answer is, it's structurally very hard. China's $1.2 trillion trade surplus is the logical convergence of decades of policy choices that prioritize manufacturing capacity over household welfare systems. Beijing's industrial strategy has channeled massive resources into building competitive advantages across mid to high end global manufacturing sectors. The result is a self reinforcing loop. Chinese households save aggressively because social safety nets, healthcare, pension, education are all underdeveloped compared to Western economies. Because households save instead of spending. Domestic consumption is weak. And because domestic consumption is weak, Chinese factories must find buyers elsewhere. Exports aren't just an ambition, they're a survival mechanism for millions of firms and workers they employ. The structural constraints are making a meaningful shift away from export led growth improbable in the short to mid-term. According to Henry Gao, a law professor at Singapore Management University who specializes in international trade. And Beijing knows this. Reports on China's formulation of its 15th five-year plan, covering 2026 to 2030, signal continued prioritization of manufacturing sector growth. The plan places industrial modernization first among development projects, with innovation following directly after, while raising domestic consumption appears as a third priority. Third priority. Consumption is third. The export machine is not slowing down by choice. So, what does a $1.2 trillion surplus actually do to everyone else? Three things. And all three are already happening. First, a tariff arms race. The growing Chinese trade surplus is inducing additional tariffs, investment restrictions, technology control, and strategic supply chain decoupling across both developed and developing economies alike. The EU imposed tariffs of up to 45% on Chinese electric vehicles. India has added basic customs duties on Chinese solar products. Brazil has launched countervailing investigations. The era of free trade with China is quietly closing. Second, markets flooded with low-cost goods. The increase in Chinese exports to countries other than the US has raised concerns that market will be flooded with low-cost Chinese goods that threaten domestic producers. If even the US and EU struggle to absorb the surge of Chinese exports without resorting to trade defenses, few other countries are in a better position to cope. And third, global manufacturing jobs under pressure. China's imbalance between domestic production and consumption implies that it draws on the domestic demand of other countries to sustain its economic growth, and does so at potential expense of production and employment of those trading partners with high trade deficits with China. This is the real transmission mechanism. Every container ship that leaves Shanghai loaded with EVs or chips or solar panels is competing directly with the factory in Germany, South Korea, Brazil, or India. When China wins this competition through subsidizing pricing, everybody else's workers lose a job. This is not theory. That is what the data shows, and it's why surplus has become one of the most politically explosive economies, which is a fact in the world right now. Here's what the next chapter looks like. Economists forecast that China's exports will grow about 3% in 2026, less than 5.5% growth in 2025. But with slow import growth, that trade surplus is expected to remain about $1 trillion for the foreseeable future. That means the pressure doesn't ease, the tariff wars don't pause, and the rerouting of Chinese goods to Southeast Asia, Latin America, and Africa continues. Global growth is projected to remain subdued at about 2.6% in 2026, and major trading partners like the US, China, and Europe are all losing momentum, weakening demand and tightening financial conditions. In that environment, slow global growth, persistent trade tensions, and continued Chinese export dominance, every country faces the same strategic question. How do you compete with an economy of 1.4 billion people, state-directed capital, and the most efficient manufacturing infrastructure on Earth? Some are answering with tariffs, some just with subsidies, some with industrial policies of their own. The honest answer is no one has fully cracked it yet. But the countries that will come out ahead are the ones that choose their response deliberately, rather than reaching in a panic when the goods are already at their ports. The 1.2 trillion surplus is not just a Chinese story. It is a story about how the global economy is being rewired quietly, systematically, and faster than most governments are prepared for. If this gives you a clear picture of what's happening in global trade, hit that like button, and it really does help this channel reach more people who want to understand the world this way. If you like this video and if you want me to go deeper into all of this analysis of US trade tariff war, tell me in the comments. I'm reading everyone. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.